Hello, welcome to our second active movement session. This is a collaboration between Connections Neuro-Disability Services and Paces Sheffield. I'm Jules and I'm a conductor, and I'm going to be running the session for you today. If you haven't come across our sessions before, they're simple active movement tasks broken down and slowly worked through, and they're suitable for anyone who's living with a movement disorder or a neurological condition, for example, cerebral palsy, someone who's living post-stroke or with a head injury or multiple sclerosis, those sorts of things. So like I say, today is our second session. Last week we had a session where I provided you with some upper body movements in a seated position, and today we're going to work on lower body movements in a seated position. We're going to add up another video each week and release them to you via the Paces Sheffield website, and they'll all remain on there so you can watch them at any time and choose which ones you want to do. Let us know if they're working for you, if they're working, if they're not. If you want specific activities that you might want more guidance on, let us know and we'll do our best to try and provide what you're looking for. So like I say, I'm a conductor, which most people haven't heard of, but that means I provide conductive education services. Conductive education is a specialist teaching and rehabilitation approach for people who have neurological and movement disorders. This isn't a conductive education session today, but what it is about active movement, trying to give you a chance to keep your range of movement, keep your body active, keep you moving, and hopefully improve your mood a little during this extended period of self-isolation. So the one thing I must say is that please be careful if you're taking part at home. You do so at your own sort of risk, and we would recommend that you talk to someone, a medical practitioner, before taking part to make sure that it's safe for you to do so. But all being well, let's get started. So one thing to mention is we're working in seated position today. So if you can sit unaided, that's the best position to be, perhaps on a dining room chair, or if you have a therapy bench or something like that to sit on. You could do it on a sofa, but ideally I want you to be sitting a bit more upright. If you need to be sitting in a wheelchair or on a supportive seating to be able to maintain your balance, that's absolutely fine. Just be aware that it might make it a little more difficult to take part in some of the movements because you may be a bit restricted by the structure of the seat you're sitting in. It doesn't matter. We'll just try and adapt and make it work. And if you need to miss a movement out, that's absolutely fine. The whole point is that you're doing anything good, is anything active and anything that's getting your body doing what it needs to do to keep healthy and well. If you wear shoes with support, orthotics, splints, anything like that, ideally today, if you can work without them, that's probably the best thing to do. I'm going to do it barefoot. If that's comfortable for you and that feels right, then do that. If it doesn't feel right and you'd rather not, it's absolutely fine. You may not want to if you're in a wheelchair with the structure of your foot plate and so on. But if it feels okay to, then do. But again, it may mean that you can't take part in all the activities if you've, for example, got a splint that restricts your ankle movement. That might make some of the activities a little trickier. But don't worry, we'll just do it as we go along and we'll make it work. Not a problem at all. So the last thing to say before I get started is that a tool I use in conductive education is called rhythmical intention, and we talk about how we're moving and we say what we're doing while we're doing it and count. Now, I'm not expecting you to do all the things I would usually do in a conductive education session at all, but what I would like you to really try and do is try and join in with that rhythmical intention. So what we're doing, saying what we're doing whilst we're doing it. It really helps to control your movements, and it helps your body to understand that it's trying to move, and it helps your brain connect those movements as well. So it's a really helpful way of monitoring your own movements and improving your own movements. If you're non-verbal or you struggle with your speech, either just try and say it along in your head, try and listen for my voice, or maybe a carer could help as well. So let's get started. So the first thing to do is to correct your sitting position. So this is regardless whether you're sitting on a chair or in a wheelchair, on a therapy bench or what have you. Try to make sure you're sitting in a correct posture. So that means keeping your feet flat, knees hip width apart and at 90 degrees. So from the side, if you see, trying to keep your knees at around a 90-degree angle, and the same for your ankles. If your chair is a little high or a little low, maybe adjust it, maybe pop a cushion under your bottom, or pop a book or something under your feet to try and get that good position if you can, ideally. But as long as you're trying to keep your feet in touch with the ground or in touch with the foot plate on your wheelchair, that's really important. And the important part is to sit up right on top of your bottom, not to slump back over the back of your bottom here. Try to stay really upright. So I put my feet flat. I put my hands on my knees. I stick my chest out. My head is up and I sit straight. I sit straight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lovely. So the first thing we're going to do is get some oxygen into our bodies by doing some breathing. But what it's also going to do is try and get our hips moving a little bit. We're going to lift our arms if we can, otherwise just breathe in. But if you can lift your arms at the same time, do. And then we're going to lean forward and breathe out and come down to your toes if you're able. Like I say, if you can't involve your arms in this and just lean forward this way, that is absolutely fine. Even if you only get a slight movement forward, that is fine. But try and adapt it as you go. So first of all, though, to get some oxygen pumping around our body and ready to start, I close my lips. I breathe in through my nose. Breathe in. Hold it. And breathe out. I close my lips, breathe in through my nose, breathe in, hold it, and breathe out. And this time we're going to lean forward as we do it. So I close my lips, breathe in through my nose, breathe in, and I lean forward and breathe out. I close my lips, breathe in through my nose, breathe in, and lean forward and breathe out. And one more time, close my lips, lean forward, close my lips, and breathe in. And lean forward, breathe out. And then if you just breathe in through your nose as you come up to sitting upright again. And then try and return your breathing to normal. So hopefully that's got a bit of energy pumping through your body, ready to start. And now your body's in a position to start moving around. So we're going to begin down at your feet. So just adjust that sitting position again. Shoulders back and above your hips, chest out, knees and feet and hips in nice lines. And make sure the whole of your foot is touching the floor to start with. So you're trying to get a real contact through your whole foot. One of the reasons I said it's good to try and do with no shoes on, because then you can really feel what you're doing. So I sit straight, I sit straight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lovely. And now what we're going to do is we're going to slowly lift our toes up and down, 1 foot at a time, and then both together. Now, as you lift your toes, I'm just going to come sideways so you can see. As you lift your toes, I want you to make sure you keep your heel in touch with the floor, like so, and then down. So you're lifting your toes up as high as you can and down. Now, the movement I'm doing is always going to be an exaggeration. Do what you can, even if it's just a little lift or even just a twitch of your toes. It's still worth trying to do to move your foot around and get your body to wake up a little. So we're going to turn our toes up and then we're going to bring them down. And if we can, we're going to try and hold them there as well. Now, when I do the task, I'm going to do a mirror image for you. So when I say your right side, I'm actually using my left, but so it looks like a mirror for you when you're doing these tasks at home. So we're going to start with your right side. I turn my right toes up. I turn my right toes up, up. 1, 2, 3, and down. 1, 2, 3. I turn my right toes up. 1, 2, 3, and down. 1, 2, 3, and one more time on the right side. I turn my right toes up. 1, 2, 3, and down. 1, 2, 3. And then on the other side, I turn my left toes up. I turn my left toes up. 1, 2, 3, and down. 1, 2, 3. I turn my left toes up. 1, 2, 3, and down. 1, 2, 3, and I turn them up. 1, 2, 3, and down. 1, 2, 3. Very nice. So just make sure, having done those two separately, that you haven't slumped in your sitting position. So make sure your chest is out and your shoulders back. And when we move both toes, just be aware of trying to make sure that the rest of your body doesn't move. So you keep everything nice and still and straight and in control. Try not to let your knees move in, out to the side or what have you. Just trying to get movement in your feet. So I turn both toes up. I turn both toes up. 1, 2, 3, and down. 1, 2, 3. I turn both toes up. 1, 2, 3, and down. 1, 2, 3. I turn both toes up. 1, 2, 3. And just see if you can hold it now for a count of 3. Keep it there. 1, 2, 3, and down. 1, 2, 3. Lovely. Like I said, it may be a bit difficult that. I expect many of you have got quite tight ankles. But a little bit of trying to lift and move your toes really helps us move and mobilise those ankles. And that helps so much with transfers, with standing and weight bearing. And if you're able to walk, it will really help with your walking as well. So try to do a little more of that. So next, what we're going to do is we're stepping forward with each leg in turn. So that's a simple move of stepping forward 1 and stepping back. If that's too easy for you, when I count 1, 2, and 3, you can take 3 steps forward and get gradually further forward or gradually further back. I'll just show you from the side. So we're either stepping 1 forward and back, or we're stepping a few times forward and back. And if even that is too easy for you, you can always make it a little bit harder by popping something on the floor, a rolling pin, a bottle of water, something like that, and trying to lift right up and over. And you could even increase the height of the target if it's easy for you. But anything essentially that gets your foot moving a little bit forward and a little bit back is more than sufficient. If you don't have a lot of movement in your knees and your legs, just a tiny movement forward and backwards is still really worthwhile, okay? So I step my right foot forward. I step my right foot forward. 1, 2, 3. And I step it back. I step it back. 1, 2, 3. I step my right foot forward. I step my right foot forward. 1, 2, 3. And I step it back. I step it back. 1, 2, 3. I step my right foot forward. I step my right foot forward. 1, 2, 3. I step it back. I step it back. 1, 2, 3. I should have mentioned, by the way, you can keep your hands on your knees. If it helps, you can put your hands next to you on the chair and use a little bit of support of the chair to help you to get a little more lift in your leg. So let's try now with our left leg. So I step my left foot forward. I step my left foot forward. 1, 2, 3. I step it back. I step it back. 1, 2, 3. I step my left foot forward. I step my left foot forward. 1, 2, 3. I step it back. I step it back. 1, 2, 3. Lovely. Well done. So now we'll do exactly the same thing, but we're going to step out to the side and then back to the middle. Now, when you step out to the side, this may be more difficult if you've got any sort of supports by your legs on your chair, but don't worry too much. Just trying to take your knee to the side, if that's the case, would be more than sufficient. But when you step to the side, what I want you to be careful of is not letting your knee drop in. So try to keep yourself sitting up straight and that knee out to the side. Let me show you from side on. If I do the same movement and take my leg out to the side, I don't want your knee to drop down. Try and keep it back there above your foot and that nice 90-degree angle that we've been working on. So try and keep that whilst you're doing the tasks, and that will really help. It's good for your hips to keep them really mobile. But don't think you have to go as wide as I am with the example. Like I say, that's just me showing the optimum movement that we're trying to achieve. So go as wide as is comfortable for you, but that stretches a little further than perhaps you do in your normal movements. So I step to the side with my right foot. I step to the side with my right foot. 1, 2, 3. Stay seated nice and straight. Keep that knee back. I step back to the middle. I step back to the middle. 1, 2, 3. And again on that right side. I step to the side with my right foot. I step to the side with my right foot. 1, 2, 3. And back to the middle. Back to the middle. 1, 2, 3. And I step to the side with my left foot. I step to the side with my left foot. 1, 2, 3. And I step back to the middle, back to the middle. 1, 2, 3. Look, even then I had to adjust my position as I came back to the middle. Be careful when you come back to the middle that you are still straight. I step to the side with my left foot. I step to the side with my left foot. 1, 2, 3. And I step back to the middle. I step back to the middle. 1, 2, 3. Lovely. And if you're feeling really brave, but don't worry if not, we can step both legs out to the side and both back to the middle. The alternative, if that's a little too tricky, is just to bring your knees apart and then back together, apart and together. That would work really well if you're seated in a wheelchair as well. If you're doing it with both legs together, just be aware you may need to support yourself a little bit in sitting, and don't lean back too much and fall as you're moving your legs, okay? So I step both legs apart. I step both legs apart. 1, 2, 3. And I step both legs together. I step both legs together. 1, 2, 3. I step both legs apart. I step both legs apart. 1, 2, 3. And I step both legs together. I step both legs together. 1, 2, 3. Lovely. Well done. So I think what we'll do is just one more movement in this position. So what we will do is we're going to lift and hold a bent leg. So I'll show you from the side. When you lift and hold it, we're trying to keep that bend in your knee. And if you're able to also keep a bend in your foot, not letting your foot drop down, then that's ideal. Try not to lean back. I'm not demonstrating it so well. Try not to lean too far back. You will need to lean ever so slightly. And also it may help a little if you come to the edge of your chair. I should have said that a little sooner, but if you lift your leg there, then you're less likely to need to lean back. So there's a little bit of room for you to bend your movement. So how about we shuffle to the front of our chairs ever so slightly. Try and walk your hips forward to do that if you can. So just correct that sitting position. Shoulders back, feet flat, hips and knees in line, and I sit straight. I sit straight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I lift my right knee up. I lift my right knee up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I bring it down. I bring it down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I lift my right knee up. I lift my right knee up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I bring it down. I bring it down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the same on your left side. So I lift my left knee up. I lift my left knee up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I bring it down. I bring it down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I lift my left knee up. I lift my left knee up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I bring it down. I bring it down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lovely. And then just remember, if you slumped a little through all the concentration of lifting your body then, to correct that position again, try not to let your upper body move too much. If you're feeling really energetic or find that a little easy, you can always make it a little trickier by perhaps lifting alternate legs up and down, or even swapping them a little faster if you are able to. Or if it's really easy, you can even try perhaps keeping your arms to the side or lifting your arms above your head whilst you're doing it, or even moving your opposite arm and leg. But don't worry, we'll go into those sorts of details in future, but just some little ideas if you find it a little bit too simple. So last thing to do then is just to correct our position and tell our body to go in a very positive way onto the next thing we've got to do. You've opened up your shoulders, your breathing, your lungs. You've opened your hips, your knees, and your ankle joints. So everything in your body should now be feeling a little bit brighter, a little bit more active, and hopefully that feeling can carry on a little. So I sit straight. I sit straight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lovely. So thank you so much for joining us again this week. Like I say, keep your eyes peeled. We're going to release a session every week via the Paces Sheffield website. And like I say, if you've got any feedback or any ideas for things you'd like us to do, please let us know. Try to keep bodies healthy, try to keep active, try to keep moving, and most of all, try to keep a good mood. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.